This is a night of reflection, prayer, communion, and candlelight. Maybe you're struggling this holiday season with grief over a loss, or loneliness, or you're simply feeling overwhelmed. Maybe this past year has been particularly difficult for you. Maybe you're just exhausted or lonely or feeling disconnected from others, yourself, or God. Maybe this particular season doesn't hold as much struggle for you personally, but you are here to remember and hold space for one or more people you know and love who are struggling. Maybe you're here because you look at so much in our world that is wounded and broken and you long for something different. We gather here tonight to remember, to hold space, to acknowledge that everything is not always merry and bright, to give ourselves permission to grieve and to ache and to long. We remember hope that is not easy or shallow or superficial, but is found in the one who comes among us in the midst of all the beauty and the brokenness of this world. We long for peace, peace that is beyond just the absence of conflict, but that is made real in the presence of wholeness in our lives and in our world. We ache for joy, joy that goes beyond happiness, joy that takes deeper root in our lives, joy that sometimes may seem more like a rumor than a reality. We need love. Love that will hold us in the longest nights, the bluest days, and when the weight of the world seems so heavy. Tonight we'll acknowledge the hurt and struggle we hold in our hearts and that is present in the lives of those we are remembering and holding space for this evening. God is big enough to handle our honesty about all the emotions we are feeling, even if that includes anger, questions, doubt. Nothing can separate us from God's love. In the midst of our honesty, we'll also talk of peace and hope found in God. You may find it hard to believe that such peace and hope is possible right now. And if so, that's okay. There is no need to add shame to your struggles. Others of us gathered here tonight will believe and hold space for you. May we bring our honest selves to God this evening. And as we gather here tonight, tears may flow as well. If you need tissues, you'll find a box of them over on the side. In this space, may we find delight. Here's some words tonight from Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a help always near in times of trouble. That's why we won't be afraid when the world falls apart, when the mountains crumble into the center of the sea, when its waters roar in rage, when the mountains shake because of its surging waves. The Lord of heavenly forces is with us. The God of Jacob is our place of safety. Hear these words of Jesus from the Gospel of Matthew. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. We remember this in a very real world into which Jesus comes, a real world with real struggles, losses and threats and instability. Jesus comes in the midst of literal and figurative dirt and manure. Jesus comes in the midst of a world of unexplained disasters and violence, poverty and division and injustice. It's into all this that Jesus comes, even into the longest nights, even into the bluest of days. One of the names Scriptures gives us for Jesus is Emmanuel, which means God with us. So may we remember that God is with us tonight. As we gather here tonight, we'll light 4 candles as we reflect and remember together. And the first candle we light is to remember people who we have lost, loved ones that are no longer with us. It may be a recent loss, maybe one from years past, someone whose presence you still miss. We pause to remember their name, their voices, their face, the memories that binds them to us in our remembering in this season. We hold them before God, giving thanks for their lives. So I invite you, where you are, to take a moment to remember those you or others have lost to death. And I invite you to name them. You might want to speak the name out loud, or you may simply want to say it in the silence of your heart. But may we take a moment to remember together. Would you join me in prayer? Faithful God, thank you for the gift each of these people that we have named, to ourselves that we have remembered. Thank you for the gift that each of them has been in our lives. We believe we will celebrate the treasure of love with them again when we are all in your presence forever. Take our sad and aching hearts and comfort us. God of the grieving, draw near. Amen. The second candle we light is to redeem the pain of loss. The loss of relationships, the loss of jobs, the loss of health in ourselves or in family members, the loss of joy and peace from our lives, from the stresses that surround us, the loss and loneliness we experience when we feel alone. As we gather up the pain of the past and the present, we offer it to God, asking that into our open hands, God will place the gift of peace. As I light the candle, please take a moment to remember the losses you are experiencing in your life, or that those you are holding space for have experienced. name them before God in prayer where you are. God of peace, we come before you in need of peace, aware of your promises of guidance and presence. We forget sometimes that you will be with us in all that we experience. Remind us of your presence, even in the times when it is difficult to feel you near. Amen. The third candle we light tonight represents our courage. The courage to face our sadness, to share our feelings with others, to be vulnerable, to share our doubts and fears, our anger, our frustration, our depression. Our courage to seek help for something we cannot overcome on our own. To wrestle with changes that come in our lives that we did not ask for or choose. Courage to dare to hope in the midst of our pain. As we light this candle, you're invited to pray to the God who longs to take you by the hand and says to you, do not fear, I'm with you. May you spend a moment in silent prayer where you are about areas in your life where you might need courage. Presence. Lord, hear our prayer. Give us courage where it is needed. Give us strength enough to ask for help from you and from others around us. Give us faithfulness to be support and presence to those who need us to be courageous alongside them. Amen. The fourth candle we light for others and for the brokenness and injustice in the world around us. We remember people we know and love who are grieving and struggling in some way. We may remember, too, the brokenness in our world that is more general, affecting people and groups of people. Some that we may know by name, some that we may not, but each God's beloved child. Take a moment to reflect and to remember those who are struggling, the places that need healing, wholeness and change in our world. I invite you to name those places in prayer. Healing God, hear these prayers. Bring healing to the wounds in the lives of others and in our ways of living together in this world. Repair what is broken and make right the wrongs of this world. Amen. Each of us carries with us too our own hurts and sorrows and broken places. And I want to invite each of you to offer your personal wound to God, to the God who loves us deeply and wants to carry our pain. And I invite you, if you would like, to come forward. You'll find lighters interspersed throughout the table, to light one or more candles to remember your grief over the loss of a loved one, a light to shine in the midst of your own struggles, a reminder of God's presence in the midst of your loneliness, the hope for healing, the longing for peace, or as a way of holding space for someone you love who is hurting. The story of Jesus' birth reminds us that things in life don't always go as planned, and that grief and joy are often all mixed up together. And his birth story started with an unexpected announcement that was met with fear. When Mary and Joseph traveled, they traveled while uncomfortably pregnant, and at once their lives were in danger, and strangers sought them to celebrate them. And so we remember that this year has had both grief and joy in our lives. And next year will too. And as we gather here tonight, as we think of our lives and our world, you are invited at this time to come forward if you'd like, to light a candle, or more than one, in remembrance, in way of holding space, or as a prayer. now here, Larry will share with us a familiar hymn, It Is Well With My Soul. And tonight in this space, you may hear it as an assurance, as a song of your own heart, or you may hear it as a longing of what you want to be true and long to experience. In the light of this room, the stillness of this place, may this song stir our weary souls.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when the sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. But Lord, it is thee, for thy coming we wait. The sky, not the grave, is our goal. Oh, the trump shall resound. Oh, the Lord shall come. Blessed hope, blessed love for my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight. Oh, the clouds, they roll back like a scroll. Oh, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well
As we gathered here tonight, we also gather for a time of communion. If you did not pick up communion elements on your way in, you are invited to do that. They're in a basket right outside. At our church, the table is welcome for all, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe or struggle to believe. We hold that at the table we encounter Jesus, who makes a place for everyone. And as we observe communion, we use most often bread made from wheat that has been broken off and crushed, and grape juice that comes from grapes plucked from the vines and also crushed. If you're feeling bruised or broken or crushed this holiday season, or you are remembering someone who is, may you find sustenance and strength from this bread and juice made from things broken and crushed as well. This is the bread of life and the cup of salvation. Thanks be to God. When Jesus gathered with his friends, he took bread and he blessed it and he broke it, and then he gave it to them, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body given for you. Take and eat." In the same way, he took the cup and gave thanks and passed it to them, saying, "This cup poured out for you is the promise of God made in my sacrifice. Each time you drink from this cup, remember me." Let's drink together. As we gather this evening, we embrace and claim the shadows that are present both in the world and in our own lives. And as people who are familiar with the shadows, we also know that we gather to be illumined by the light of the Christ child this Christmas season. May the Christ child, born in a lowly stable, bring light, comfort, and peace to you and those you are holding space for this season. In just a moment, we'll conclude our service, and you're invited to leave quietly at that time if you would like, but you're also welcome to linger, to reflect, to soak in the candlelight, to pray, to cry. This is space set aside for you tonight as long as you need it. As we go, may the hope of the Christ child sustain us. And may we find a light to guide us home.